Hello! Today's stories come from r/entitled people. We have a supersized helping of entitlement today with a story that was mega popular about 3 weeks ago. It's received a sizable update and conclusion, so I think it's ready to serve up. We'll start with my own sister made false accusations against me because I refused to supply alcohol for her party. This happened some years ago. I'm in my 30s now, but back then I was 22. My sister was 18 and was my mom's golden child. My dad, thankfully, has a good head on his shoulders and always called my sister out on her nonsense. But my mom's interference always meant my sister got off easy anyway. This is what happened back then. My parents decided to take a vacation to ski in Aspen and let my sister watch the house for them. They told her no parties, but that was a rule she straight up ignored. A day after our parents left, my sister started sending out invites to a party, and she was promising free alcohol. I didn't see that post just yet, but my sister called me and asked me to go get alcohol for her party because I was over 21 and could legally buy it. She also wanted me to pay for it and said she'd invite me to the party and introduce me to an easy girl in order to pay me back. I told her that I wasn't going to break the law to make her happy. She should never have told people her party would have alcohol. She screamed at me over the phone that I was ruining her life and that she couldn't take back the invites now that they were all over her Facebook. I looked at her post and facepalmed. I told her that what she did was really stupid, and she and her friends were all underage. So, it's illegal. She tried to say it'd only be illegal if I narked on them. I said I wouldn't narc, but I wasn't going to buy her booze either. She screamed at me some more, so I hung up the phone. Well, that night my sister had the party, and someone called the police for underage drinking. After being arrested and confronted by police later on, my sister threw me under the bus and said that I'd supplied the alcohol she was using. Turns out she actually broke into Dad's liquor cabinet and thought it'd be better to frame me for her crime. Police came and arrested me at my apartment the day after the party. They seemed already convinced I was guilty and didn't really listen to me when I said I was never there. But I willingly cooperated with them. At the station, I told them the whole story and got them to look at my sister's Facebook post. Thankfully, there were a few people there who listened to me. But I still had to sit the night out in a cell while my parents were called. My mom and dad flew back home overnight and bailed out both my sister and I. But my mom tried to make my dad leave me in jail because my sister had told them her lies as well. But my dad took the time to talk to me and look at my sister's Facebook, so he believed me. This caused a fight between him and my mom. When they got home, my dad discovered my sister had broken into his liquor cabinet and spoke to the police on my behalf. My mom, however, still wanted the blame to fall on me because, as she put it, the charges were ruining her baby's future. But my innocence was further proven by the fact that I and my car were seen on CCTV when I left work, and when I arrived at home soon after, as the apartment I was living in then had CCTV cameras to watch the parking lot. My car did not move from there for the rest of the day and night. In my sister's story to the police, I had driven out and gotten the alcohol for her, but I wasn't seen on CCTV in any liquor store in the county, and my bank account showed no transactions buying alcohol. My parents' house also had a camera at the front door, and my car was never seen in the driveway that day. After being confronted with those facts, my sister's story changed to saying I had already had the alcohol and gave it to her at my apartment. But my sister's car had never showed up at my apartment either. And there was like 3 cheap beers in my apartment fridge and no hard alcohol. My sister finally had to give up on her lies, and my parents were severely disappointed in her. But my mom still tried to convince me to take the fall for my sister. She came to my apartment and actually demanded that I tell police that it was all my fault. I said I wasn't going to ruin my future for my sister. She refused to leave and went from demanding to begging. She even got on her knees and tried to convince me that she and my dad would make everything okay in the long run if I just took the blame now. I said I'd rather live my life poor than have that felony on my record. She threw a huge fit and started throwing things because I refused to do as she wanted. I threatened to call the police, and she left my apartment cussing me out like a mad woman. I've never heard so many F-bombs out of her before or since. But she kept them up all the way to her car and followed it up with saying she should have aborted me before driving off. I called my dad right away and told him everything that happened. He was insanely pissed and got in a huge fight with my mom as soon as she got home. She didn't even deny anything she said or did, because she deemed it would have been for the greater good of their daughter. But my dad told her that she couldn't destroy me to save my sister. Then he threatened to divorce her if she didn't try to make things right. She ended up sobbing and then saying she'd do whatever he wanted. My dad said that it was couples and family counseling or it was divorce. My mom signed a prenup before she married him and really had no choice. In family therapy, I called her out on how she always believed my sister's lies. My sister tried to say they were not lies, but each one I pointed out from over the years said otherwise. I'd taken the time to write a list of all the ones I could remember from the past decade that had all been proven she lied. And my mom and sister were forced to stay silent as I read them all. They tried to interject repeatedly, but my dad and the counselor silenced them. My sister, now proven beyond doubt to be a liar and a manipulator, just shut down and refused to say anything more to the counselor. And my mom finally apologized to me, but it was obviously a forced apology because she looked so uncomfortable doing it. I told her that her apology was very fake, and after so many years of favoritism, the damage was already done. My relationship with her never really recovered because she was convinced I was guilty no matter what was said until my sister admitted the truth, and then wanted me to pretend to be the guilty one anyway to protect her favorite child. But nothing went her way, so she just went back to crying about it. When my sister went to court, my mom pleaded with the judge to go easy on my sister for the charges of underage drinking and giving other underage people alcohol, as well as attempting to frame me for her crime. She also resisted arrest when the police came and shut down the party. She was very drunk when it happened. They kept her in a cell overnight to sober up, and then she told police I'd been the one to provide the alcohol. My mom's begging, along with the relentless lawyer my parents hired, got the judge to cut a deal, provided my sister plead guilty, which she did not want to do. But her lawyer highly recommended she take said deal to avoid jail time, because there was no other way of keeping her from getting a felony on her record. My sister's lawyer used the fact that the alcohol had not been bought that day, but rather had already been in the house long before the party happened to help lessen the charges. My sister's Facebook had also been completely deleted by her as soon as she was able to in order to hide the post. The judge just wanted the case over with, so my sister got off with a huge fine that our mom paid most of, out of her own pocket, and a couple years probation. She was also made to get therapy too by our dad. She's never really showed actual remorse for what she did, though, and only had animosity for me, no matter how in the wrong she was. She was eventually diagnosed as a narcissist after dad made her go see a doctor. After her probation and 4 years of college were over, she decided she was going to leave home for California and never come back once she landed a good job. She currently works in an office in LA, and we've not spoken in years. Dad got her that job, and she's not shown any real appreciation for it. Even my mom has given up on her ever coming home for the holidays and us being a family again. It tore her up inside for a few years, but now she's just bitter. She doesn't really blame me anymore, but we only see them to show indifference to each other. Just because my sister cut her off wouldn't make me the new de facto favorite. It just means my mom lost her baby and isn't getting her back. She can't leave my dad because she's too reliant on him, despite having her own career. She'd never want to be on her own again, so she's just become a shell of her former self. Things between me and my dad are still great. He's pretty much disowned my sister for what she's done and has stopped caring if she'll ever talk to him again. He and my mom don't even sleep in the same bedroom anymore. She moved into the guest room some 5 years ago and has stayed there. Their marriage is really only one on paper these days. It's a felony or misdemeanor to provide alcohol to minors, and my sister provided stolen alcohol to at least a dozen people who were under 21. Then she resisted arrest and tried to frame me by lying to police. The fact that she got off easy thanks to the shark-toothed lawyer my parents hired for my sister was incredibly lucky. Not that she was ever appreciative. The judge hit her with a fine for each person she gave alcohol to, which added up. And with the cost of the lawyer, well, my parents were out a lot of money. Edit. Yes, my parents are wealthy, especially my dad, as he's a business owner. He owns several businesses, actually, one big one and a few smaller ones. He even owns one of the local gas stations. And the town we live in is full of bored police that are just itching to get some action. I also heard that a couple of the minors arrested at that party were the kids of police as well, which did not help my odds when the cops came for me. The reason the investigation went as far as it did is because my dad pushed it through. I also went out of my way to provide some of the evidence, like the CCTV from my job, my apartment complex, and my bank statements showing I didn't buy the alcohol. The rest my dad pushed for. He had a lawyer get the CCTV from every liquor store in the county for that day, though my mom tried to talk him out of doing so. In the end, this took way too much to prove my sister was a liar, because she tried to stick to her story hard, even after my parents discovered she got the alcohol from Dad's liquor cabinet. And yes, my parents lost a ton of money, basically paying off the court to dismiss most of my sister's charges. My sister had to pay like 10%. That's about it. And that's just the little bit my parents made her pay. They still paid for her college after that as well. So people calling this out as rich people drama are exactly right, because it is just that. At the time this went on, I was still in college myself, but my dad insisted I have a part-time job to learn the value of work. And he was exactly right about that. My family is wealthy, but my dad tried to keep me from acting spoiled growing up. I even bought my own first car with money I earned working part-time. But I can't say the same for my sister, as my mom treated her like a princess. The rest of the family as a whole also hates my sister after what she did back then. So there wasn't much love lost when she ghosted us, save for my mom. She cried about it often, for an entire year. Edit 2. Yes, this happened in the US, and yes, it was stupid the way police arrested me. My dad had some pretty strong words with them about that. But I guess the cops had nothing better to do, and the arrest was expunged from my record after I was proven innocent. But as someone in the comments pointed out, it's scary how easily your freedom can be taken away. I've instinctively avoided police ever since that happened. For them arresting the son of a rich guy must have been a big scandal waiting to happen. And no one was injured as a result of a DUI. But I've spoken with my dad, and he said there were a few DUIs because a few of the minors there got in their cars and tried to drive away. Considering I heard a few of the people there were the kids of police officers, that only made things worse for me. The cops that arrested me both looked middle-aged. So if their kids were involved, that may explain why they treated me like I was guilty. Those who say this is fake, I wish it was, because it's so stupid that it really should be. But my ungrateful sister broke our family, and she nearly destroyed my reputation as well. These days, everyone in town has forgotten her. She lost most, if not all of her friends after that party because they were all arrested. Good riddance. It is too bad that OP lost out on a relationship with his mom because of his toxic sister. But it kinda sounds like maybe that is best for him. OP's sister will never change because she never experiences consequences. Let's check out the comments where we'll find a few minor extra details from OP before we feast on the update. Maywellflower said, I feel like the father is just purposely not divorcing due to 1, not paying any more court or lawyer fees after that mess with the sister, and 2, keeping an eye on the mother in case OP has a wedding so she can't pull another gong show on OP, especially since the prenup is in the father's favor. Otherwise, he would have divorced the mother with no second chances after the things she said to OP. OP replied, reading your comment has me thinking you may be right. Not divorcing my mom may be my dad's way of keeping her at arm's length so she can't do more harm. Goat1995 said, your sister sounds like Cersei Lannister. What Even Is a user said, nah man, you're doing Cersei dirty. She had a goal and a plan. Talk About the Way added, Anne was a lot smarter than Sis. Cersei would have thought ahead about the CCTVs, bank card transactions, etc. Someone else added, and she would have made Jamie do all the legwork to make it seem legit. Huh. Ancient Bellybutton said, scary how little evidence it takes to have your freedom stolen. OP added, I thought the same many times. And now, on to the update. Update 2, my own sister made false accusations against me. I expected to be able to log out of this account and just not come back, but it seems my sister saw my original post on YouTube. She's since called home and attempted to raise hellfire. She contacted our mother in a furious rage and said that I've humiliated her. And in a complete shock to me, my mom did not care. My sister told her how to find the post, and she read it. And now she was mad at me. But more so because she felt I made her look like a bad mother all over again. But my dad got involved and said it wasn't like I was lying. Because back then, the things she and my sister did were inexcusable. My mom agreed in a very sad way, but still said she wished I'd never posted the story. I suppose I couldn't fault her for that. I ended up talking to my sister over the phone because our mom gave her my current number. And the first thing she did when I answered was scream in my ear. I stopped the call because of the screaming. And so the call was followed by a flurry of text messages. My sister demanded I take my original post down. I refused. She threatened to get our parents to make me take it down. But our parents, by this time, already knew about the post, and among them, our dad does not care. And our mom is more mad that I made her look like a bad mother all over again. So, she threatened to get a lawyer and sue me for defamation. I told her to go right ahead. My post was made anonymously, and if she sues, then a lot of people are going to find out my post was about her. She asked if that was a threat. I said no, it's just something that'll likely happen if people dig more into both of our pasts if she starts a lawsuit. It might even affect her career. Rather than responding in my text, my sister called me again and I told her I'd hang up and block her if she screamed in my ear one more time. She angrily demanded I just take my original post down again or else. I pointed out that this is the first time we've spoken in 6 years, and she had no problem throwing me under the bus in the past anytime she could. And now she's mad because her own actions are reflecting poorly on her when no one else knows the story was about her but us? And I really didn't care what she thought of me anymore. Dad has pretty much disowned her, and she destroyed all the golden child love our mom had for her. My sister actually denied being a golden child, so I started to explain exactly what one was. She interrupted me saying that she's on Reddit all the time. She knows what a golden child is. And I could only laugh at the fact that she knows that and still denied having been one. I pointed out all the things from my first post: how she lied so much, how she always had our mother on her side, and how she was openly our mom's favorite, and how she expected everything to be handed to her. She was a golden child. There's just no denying that. Well, she took this very personally and said that she wished our mother had aborted me, just like she'd said all those years ago when I refused to take the blame for my sister's crime. I just laughed some more and asked if that was all she had in her little black book of bad insults. She did not find it amusing that I found it so amusing. I fired back about how she is a self important narcissist and always will be. She milked our parents for so much and had no appreciation for it, right down to that well paid LA office job she's working that dad got her. She scoffed at me and said she got that job on her own merit. I laughed again. No, she did not. Suddenly, a well connected LA firm scouted her several states away after college to come work for them when she had no prior experience as an intern. It just doesn't happen. The old CEO of that company was a friend of our dad's before he passed away, and dad called in a favor. That's how she got that job. My sister, of course, went into more denial about the truth I just presented her. But I guess it finally clicked in her mind that I was correct. She's a narcissist, but she's not dumb. So she just started bragging about how well she's been doing at that job. She made it to assistant manager and is set to be next in line for full manager someday. I was unimpressed, and she demanded to know why. So I pointed out that I've moved on to managing one of Dad's smaller businesses entirely. Sure, it was technically a promotion through nepotism, but I worked hard to earn it. And Dad's openly stated that when he someday passes away, I'm to inherit everything. Not that I'm clamoring for it, like she undoubtedly would. I actually want our dad to live a good, long time. She was so angry that she hung up on me and then called our parents again. She asked Dad if she'd really been disinherited, and they confirmed she was. Dad's will is set to leave her only a small settlement so she can't contest it. And if she were to try and contest it, she'd automatically get nothing. Even our mom's will has basically written my sister out. My sister ended up crying and saying it wasn't fair. But both of our parents pointed out that her framing me all those years ago wasn't fair, ghosting them after they paid so much money to keep her from getting a felony and putting her through 4 years of college was unfair. They had nothing left they wanted to give. My sister ended up blocking us all from phones to social media. We can't see anything now. But we don't really care. My mom has sat me down and gave me a long awaited, more sincere apology for what happened so long ago, especially for that day she tried to make me take the blame for my sister. Years without my sister in her life and the recent incident has made her realize more than ever that she was a terrible mother to us both, and she can't undo anything. But she wanted to at least say she was incredibly sorry and that she loved me. She's just been too ashamed to really show it. She's now finally looking into therapy, and she's even making an effort to spend more time with my dad, like in the old days. It's ironic, really. My sister tore our family apart, and then she somehow put it right back together by being the same kind of nasty person she's always been. So, sis, if you see this post, and I bet you will, don't bother trying to contact us again, because if you do, then any more drama you cause is going to end up right here. So please, leave us alone for the foreseeable future. Of course she came back, just like a nasty rash. I'm curious how the parents ended up together, though. I mean, there are some details missing, but it's hard to not draw parallels between the sister and the mom. Clearly, the apple did not fall far from that tree. Sincere apologies and recognition of wrongdoing can go a long way, but actions really do speak louder than words. I wonder if and how OP's mom stepped it up after this. Let's check out the comments for a dash of hope for OP's family. Ninja Gecko shared, "Sis, learn from this. When you're a nasty, worthless person without empathy, people will shun you. You've lost your family. All you have now is the mask you wear to trick unsuspecting people into falling into your orbit, and even that won't last forever. Congrats on ensuring you'll die alone, I guess." Explosum replied, "Oh, dude, she's a narcissist. The whole world is against her. Eye roll. Sadly, NPD is practically incurable, and she will die mad, lonely, and bitter. She has to accept she's wrong, and narcs are never wrong, right?" Rolling my eyes. Anonymous 33 said, "I'm happy that your mom is finally able to see how your sister is a terrible person. And I really hope your sister loses her job because she certainly doesn't deserve it. And OP, I wish you the best." OP replied, "I certainly don't hope my sister loses her job, because if she loses that job, she might just come crawling back to our parents." My friends call me Epic said, "Thanks for the update. That was one hell of a ride." LOL at the sister. Sometimes the universe just makes it work. Boomtalks added, "Holy crap, I never expected the update to include your mom actually growing as a person. That almost never happens." If you've enjoyed the story and would like to hear more, consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Thanks, and bye for now.